Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I'm your reader, Jay. General messages for Aquarius for the month of November 2018. Had a little flipper there, the World card. Not going to use it, but just to show you. Might mean something to some of you guys out there. Anyway, hi Aquarius, how are you doing? Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are doing so well. First off, I apologize for how late these videos are. You guys, Sagittarius and Capricorn and Pisces, are the last videos I'm doing for the month. And as you can see, most of the month is kind of gone. We're pretty much in that halfway point. So yeah, I do apologize for having these come out so late. But you know, I'm a regular human being. I have a regular job. You know, I do personals. I have other projects that I'm involved in. So you know, there's just not enough hours in the day for me to get all of these done. You know, with everything I have going on. So sorry. Anyway, happy Thanksgiving to those who will be celebrating next week. I hope you guys have a fabulous Thanksgiving day. And if you don't celebrate, I just hope you have a fabulous Thursday. Alright, Aquarius, as you can see, I shuffled off the camera to save time, so that's your main spread there. What I'm going to do now is shuffle for your outcome and your overall energy. Once all those cards are out and they're lying face up, that's when the reading begins. Time for that is in the description box below. Ooh, look at you. Just got so many little poppers coming out today. Also down there in the description box is information on how to get a private reading with me if you feel so inclined, okay? All right, Aquarius, let's get your outcome for November. Oh, okay, that is too many, and they've gone everywhere, so give me a second. Okay, so let's try that again. Looking for your outcome, take 2, right? Aquarius outcome, November 2018. This is interesting because like all of these came out so kind of easily, pretty fast. And now it's like, it's a little stubborn here. Thank you. There it is at the beck and call. As soon as I start ragging, here it comes. All right, so bottom of the deck is the overall energy. There's your outcome. Flip the remaining cards over so we can see what's going on. Wow. Okay. Oh, is that? Yeah. Okay. And how we look on screen? We look good. We look good enough. All right, so where's Aquarius? Excuse me. Show me Aquarius in November 2018. Please show me Aquarius in November 2018. Where's Aquarius, please? Here? All right. Thank you. Well. Come into November, you come in as the 6 of Cups, Aquarius. Oh, boy. And I shouldn't, like, okay. Just a disclaimer for those who missed it at the top. The name of the channel is EmpathicFire. If you go to my About page, I tell you a little bit of how I work. Some people, they go off traditional, you know, interpretations of the cards. Some people are psychic as well as being tarot readers, or they use the tarot to kind of aid them. I'm empathic, so I go with what I feel when I interact with the cards. And my tone when I first picked this card up may have been a little condescending, so I want to apologize for that. But there is this feeling behind this card of again, or still, or oh, when are you done with this? When are you finished with this? And if you're familiar with tarot, or you followed me or any other tarot reader for a while, you will know that the 6 of Cups, Aquarius, isn't a card that normally would get that reaction or come with that sentiment. But like I said, I am empathic, and this is just what I feel. Like, here we go again, or why is this still happening? Stuff like that. And that feeling, that sentiment is tied to the interpretation of this card, which is that of nostalgia, calling back relationships, calling back people from your past, being really reflective on your past, and being really, in some cases, tied to a person from your past, or that person returning to your life. And like I said, traditionally, how I watch other tarot readers as well. This is usually a card that is welcome. And to some degree, I think some of you do welcome this energy. But let me tell you, I feel that for many of you, this is like some broken record BS. This is like some repetitive thing that you just can't break out of. I do feel it is tied to a relationship of some kind. It could be romantic, but it doesn't have to be. Six of Cups is one of the cards that can be associated with soulmates. And if you've been with me for a while, or you've watched some of my other videos, I don't know. But let me just clarify for you, my personal use of the word soulmate does not apply only to romantic relationships. You can be a platonic relationship and be a soulmate. And just to give you, not that it necessarily matters, but I call my sister a soulmate. She and I, are associated with each other, or tied to each other because we are blood related, sure, but as many of you know, just because someone is your sibling doesn't mean that you have to get along with them, doesn't mean that you have to feel connected to them. With my sister, I feel that we are soulmates. So I hope, I walk the walk. I don't just say it. I actually believe I do have a soulmate in my sister. Do I have romantic soulmates? Maybe. Where are they? I don't know. But enough about me. Back to this. So, this Six of Cups thing with you, as this is your starting point. Some of you are really, really, honestly, hung up on someone from your past, whether that's a romantic person or not. Could be a friend, could be a family member that you're now estranged from. And you are looking at the good times, and the good times are actually pretty painful for you because they are what you treasure. They're what you're really honoring in some ways, but you're really focused on those good times to the neglect of being honest and aware of or acknowledging the bad times. You're looking at your past with this person, whatever type of relationship it was, whatever interaction it was, you're looking at it through rose-tinted glasses. And this continuously happens with you, Aquarius. You're just sort of, like I said, you're on a broken record, or you're on a carousel and you're not getting off. And you might have other people around you who are what are you doing? Why are you thinking about this person? Why are you reminiscing on that person or those times? Don't you remember all of the other crap that came along with that person? Da 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 da. And honestly, I feel you're turning a blind eye to it, or you're turning a deaf ear to people who are telling you that, or even in yourself. You might have this little inner voice that says, "Come on, Aquarius, let's get over this." And you're no, little voice inside my head, I think we should hold out hope. A lot of you are holding out hope that this person will return, and they might. Six of Cups does talk about a return to a relationship, or a return of a person. So they might come back, but regardless of whether they do or not, it's kind of the issue here is why? Why do you want them to come back? Why are you so stuck on them? And like I said, nostalgia is attached to this card. Looking back with reverence, looking back and focusing only on the good times. That can be nice, but if you stay in that energy, if you stay with that mindset, or you stay with that focus on any particular relationship, even those that are good, you neglect the more negative things that have happened, or the attributes of the other person that aren't necessarily the greatest. And so you're looking at this person, again, romantic or not, and you're they're the best. Or we had such a good time when we went to Niagara Falls, or oh my God, and then all those times that we stayed up laughing all night, da 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 da, and then you ignore all of the arguments that you had, all of the disagreements, all of the fights, all of the days spent in silence, or the passive aggressive text messages. It's just no, honey, no, guy, no. let's be real here. This person or this relationship, that either the person specifically or the relation between you, because sometimes it's not a matter of you or the other person have certain qualities. It's just a matter of sometimes two people, their energies don't really mesh the way that they might mesh with other people. So you both might be very good people overall. You might be incredibly genuine, honest, incredible people, but something about your interaction together wasn't good. So it's either you are idolizing the person or you're idolizing your relationship together. And in either way, no, maybe we need to stop that. Okay? And like I said, I feel this is it's on a cycle here. Like you keep coming back to this person. Some of this might be what I call a hit back. You might hit back with this person all the time. This might be that one ex that when they call, you come running. Or this could be you to someone else. It is a general reading, so it can go the other way. But there is this like drop everything aspect to what I'm feeling. If this person just sends me a message, I'm there. If this person reaches out to me, I'm going to call them right back. I don't care where I am. I could be in the middle of a funeral. I could be in the middle of a meeting at work. I suddenly have a terrible case of diarrhea and I have to leave work. No, you don't. You just want to go see this person. So there's this idea that to some extent this person has a hold on you, which is where the soulmate aspect can come in. Because soulmates, let me go back to what I said earlier. I don't care who it is, romantic or not. Soulmates, your bond with that person, whether you want it to or not, is really hard to break. I believe you can break it. There are all kinds of ceremonies and rituals that you can do to try and break it. I've never done it, but, I've heard and I've read a little bit. But the connection between soulmates is like permanent. You could be miles away from each other. You could have not spoken to this person for years, but the moment they come back into your life, or the moment there's a mention that they want to talk to you or you want to talk to them, that connection is like this again. You might be like this, but then, you get a text message, hey, what's up? Right. Okay. And again, it's sort of like, to me, a soulmate is that thing, or is that person where no matter why you're not speaking, you're always willing to speak again. There are some people in my life, I don't speak to them, I haven't spoken to them, I will never speak to them again. Not a soulmate. Other people I'm like, we haven't talked for a while, but if they came around, would I talk to them? I've been through that before with other people that I deem as soulmates. Like my best friend is a soulmate. And we go through periods of not talking for different reasons, but as soon as we hook up again, it's like, okay, let's get back into this rhythm of being super best friends with each other. So that's what you're dealing with here. Now, how true, quote unquote, true or valid that whole soulmate connection thing is, I think is going to vary for all of you, because sometimes we can have soulmates who don't reciprocate the energy, who don't reciprocate the acknowledgement or the perspective that you guys are soulmates. So that's when it becomes kind of super hard. In the case of me with my sister and my best friend, it's reciprocated. We understand it and we roll with it. For those of you who might be dealing with what you believe is a soulmate, but they don't know or they don't acknowledge it to you, that's going to be hard. And you might be thinking, am I crazy? I keep thinking about this person. And you're looking at their Facebook, you're looking at their Instagram, and they're just like out living their best life. And you're just like, but they have to be thinking of me too, right? Like there's something in you that wants to connect those dots, but they need to connect the dots for you, or they need to help you. You know what I mean? So I think you've spent a lot of time here. Like this feels like energy that is residual. It's repeating. It's coming back and forth in your life. Sometimes you feel fine without speaking to them or seeing them. Sometimes you're just like, I need to talk to them. I need to. And the interesting thing about it is, I don't think you're doing much about it. Actually, I think you're actually, for the most part, kind of quiet about it. Like, you might be acknowledging it right now watching this video. You might say it to me, Like, you might be going, yeah, Jay, I know. And I might be the only person that you've acknowledged this to. Now, granted, we're not having a real conversation, but you see what I mean? Other people might not be any they might be none the wiser that you feel a connection to this person. And again, it does not have to be romantic. This, for some of you, is like your parents, or your estranged father, your estranged mother, you know, where, you know, they weren't the best parent to you growing up. Your brothers, your sisters are like, they've cut them off, they've gone no contact with them, and you're the only one that still stays in contact with them on the low. You see what I mean? And that, to me, would be super difficult, because we all instinctually want to love our parents, and we want our parents to love us. Like, that's kind of how we're raised, and kind of, I think, a natural, like I said, an instinct to not just humans, but most animals on this planet, right? So when the reality doesn't match up with what you feel is codified inside of you, what you feel in your DNA, I love my mom, I love my dad, but this and this happened in my childhood, and this and that happened when I was going through adolescence, and this and that happened when I was a young adult. And you can go, if you truly want to, Aquarius, you can go back and you can count all the bad times with this person. But because there's something in you that says, I love this person unconditionally, or I think I should love this person unconditionally, you kind of are struggling to make sense of that. Hence, you're keeping it to yourself. Because it's a lot to really reconcile with other people who might know this person or know the relationship you have. So again, if it's a parent and you have brothers and sisters who grew up in the same house as you, for them it's like, no problem. I don't talk to mom anymore. I haven't talked to her for 8 years, and I don't plan to talk to her ever again. And you're like, but I like correspond with her regularly, like once a week, she and I talk. Or, you know, and for whatever reason, I don't know why you might be estranged from this person, parent or not, but from other people's perspectives, that person is gone. From your perspective, Aquarius, it's like, but they're important. I feel connected to them. I can't let it go. Okay? And that not letting it go is I think I want to, that's where this, who's this? Because these are kind of known to me, and they kind of play together. Who's this? This is probably not you, Aquarius, but it could be, but I think it's more likely a different person. King of Wands. King of Wands associated with fire signs, so there could be an Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius of importance in your life, but it does not have to be. And the King of Wands, he's a noble king, but he's also kind of standoffish sometimes. Like, he, in a lot of ways, wants to get along, but won't bend backwards to get along. Okay? He wants to be copacetic, he wants to be diplomatic, but he's not going to sacrifice much of himself in order to do that. So he can be kind of standoffish, he can be kind of prickly, he can be kind of abrasive sometimes. In some cases, he would be a self-made person. It doesn't have to be a man. I'm saying he, but it doesn't have to be a male. But yeah, in some cases, he's self-made. This person stands on their own 2 feet, doesn't really like to ask people for much, wants to be independent, wants to be self-sustaining, does not want to feel weak, does not want to feel as if they are indebted to anyone else. Lone wolf kind of attitude with this person, or personality with this person. And the position isn't lost on me. I'll lay it down so you can see. This person is facing, if you're here, if this is where you're starting, if this is where the bulk of your energy is, this person is facing away from you, Aquarius. They're not looking at you. They're not paying attention to you. They are focused on their own matters. And in some cases, that is intentional. Because like I said, they don't want to feel as if they're indebted to anyone. They don't want to feel as though they owe anyone anything. And they don't want to feel, vulnerable. They don't want to feel that. A lot of vulnerability is involved in the Six of Cups. A lot. It's a tender energy. It can be not manipulated, but it can be taken advantage of. It can be kind of, for lack of a better turn of phrase, shit on. It can be easily shit on. Like, it's like so sweet and tender, sensitive. It's a sensitive energy. And when something is so sensitive, if you want to think of it like a fresh fruit, like a peach or something like that, where there's not much of a skin there, like it's not a thick skin, you know, like a orange might have a thicker skin, right? Versus a peach, which has a very thin skin. And peaches can get bruised and the skin can be broken easily, you know? So this is a very sensitive energy. This person, King of Wands, they might be sensitive deep down, but they hide it and they turn away from it. Because again, the orientation of this card to this one, if this card represents vulnerability and sensitivity to a certain extent, this person is not acknowledging that. It's facing away from, or they are facing away from, therefore avoiding it. So this could be the person that you're thinking of. It could be, to some extent, an aspect of you. But regardless, it's a strong energy. This person is strong, but this person hides they wear this mask of strength in order to avoid feeling, in some cases, feeling at all. Like, ironically, I mean, it's not the King of Cups. The King of Cups is more aligned to all emotions, but the King of Wands would be aligned to passion and some romance and having like this burning lust for life kind of energy. This person wears a mask to kind of dull that down, or kind of pretend that they don't have those connections. Because if you're passionate and if you have a love for life and a lust for life, and you, like, this person truly, when they love hard, but you wouldn't know that unless you got super close to them. So that could be what's kind of confusing you, Aquarius, is that you feel this connection to this person and you recognize some of that in them, but they're not showing it to you. They're not showing it to the other people around them. And there's this disconnect. There's this disconnect between you and this person. And I get the feeling, Aquarius, that this person has a lot of things that they don't own up to. A lot of, not failures, but setbacks, or a lot of qualities about them could be worked on or addressed or improved or something. But they are one of those people, hear no evil, see no evil. I don't know if I'm using that correctly right now, but an ostrich. Thank you. I was like, that's not correct. An ostrich. They got their head in the sand. And not because they're afraid, necessarily. I think it's just what they're used to. Maybe this person in their life was hurt really bad. Not to excuse this, by the way. I'm just trying to give some tone to this person, because I feel there's just like a lot going on with them. And this is just one aspect that they're sort of projecting. And like I said, this projection is that of a mask. They wear it to make other people think they are a certain way, when beneath the mask, beneath the surface, there's a whole lot more going on. And one of the things I'm getting is, and we all know this story, this person could have been hurt in their life, in their childhood, or in a certain relationship, or they could have hurt themselves, or they are their own worst enemy, whatever their story is. And often we see that reaction happen. If you're your own worst enemy, if you have been hurt before, you then project that hurt onto other people. And then because someone else previous to when you, Aquarius, interact with them, if this is your father or your mother per se, maybe their father or their mother wasn't the greatest parent, and that's their learning, right? So, you know, my dad wasn't there for me, therefore it's okay if I'm not there for my kids. And that can sometimes be the way. Other times it's the opposite. Someone's like, oh, my dad wasn't here for me, I'm gonna make sure I'm here for my kids. You see what I mean? So I think those are like the two diverging reactions you can have when you're hurt by someone. You can either emulate what you've learned, or you can do the opposite of what you've learned. This person, to some degree, is performing what they've already learned. Not an excuse, just an explanation of what I feel is lurking under the surface with them, okay? Now, above this person, you've got the Seven of Swords. And it is important that it's diagonal to you. In this case, you're sharing this energy with this person, but you're on a different side, and we're going to talk about that later. But this person, Seven of Swords is right above them. Sneaky snake behavior, lying, manipulation, taking for granted and taking advantage, and basically kind of not owning up to the deeds and the misdeeds that they've committed. So there's a similar energy where I said here, you might not be acknowledging this recycling or this cycle back or this hit back energy that you feel to anybody else. This person is not acknowledging that they have been kind of a sneaky snake, that they've taken advantage of a situation, or they've taken advantage of a person, possibly you, Aquarius. And they've just kind of, in some cases, skipped town or skipped over those details. And if you do converse with them, going back to the whole being in contact with a parent who you may be estranged with, who may have had or done so many heinous things to you in your childhood, and then when you bring them up, I don't remember that. Don't you remember Christmas 1982? You said this and this, and you did that and that, and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. That was so long ago, James. That was so long ago, Melissa. Like, why are we talking about this? Like, anything to avoid having to own when they were not living up to whatever role they were playing in your life. If this is a romantic partner, going back to somebody romantically, or having ties to someone from your past romantically. Don't you remember on spring break 2018, or 2018, earlier this year, maybe. Spring break, we were together for a year and a half, you go to spring break and you cheat on me. We should talk about that. And they're like, come on. Like, first of all, we're not even together anymore, so why do we need to talk about that? Like, anything. They will come up with any angle to avoid being truthful. This is not a card of truth. This is a card about dishonesty. This is a card about scapegoating and dodging topics and dodging responsibilities and dodging accountability. Okay, so it comes right above this King of Wands person. So that's how they touch it. That's how they take that energy on. You are doing it in a different way. So I can pick this back up. Aquarius, you're doing this to yourself in a certain extent, because your aspect of this is to make excuses for this person or to accept their lame excuses. I don't want to talk about this. I've had a stressful day at work. I just want to get together with you and have a couple drinks. I don't want to talk about the past. And you're like, okay, I just want to be around you. So you accept their crumbs. You accept their lies. You accept their misdirection and their ability or their attempts to rope-a-dope you. And it's just like, bro, you're not doing yourself any favors by being in this sort of misty-eyed, rose-tinted glasses energy, as well as accepting the lies and the misdeeds and the scapegoating that this person projects onto you, that they give to you, they feed it to you. I don't want to talk about that because it would make me acknowledge, it would require that I acknowledge that I was a douche before. I don't want to do that, therefore we're not going to do that. And you're like, okay. No. I mean, yes, because you're doing it, but no as in, I don't think you should do it. I don't think you're gaining anything by doing that. All of this together is not the greatest combination, let me tell you. And so you're both tapping into this Seven of Swords energy, and they're doing it in what I would say is a more aggressive or active energy. They actively sidestep conversations. They actively deflect in conversations. They actively have no memory or no recollection of what the hell you're talking about. And you're like, but that happened 4 months ago. How do you not remember? I just don't remember. I can't remember it the way that you did, or I don't see it. You know, they will say anything. And on your side, it's like you're wanting to keep up the, for lack of a better word, the illusion that there is something worth having out of these crumb-like interactions, these crumb-like conversations where they sprinkle a little bit of interest in you or a little bit of interest in connecting with you, and you're like eating it up. And it's like, listen, if you're starving and somebody has a full plate of food and then some, they've got like a cupboard right behind them full of more food, and they just like give you the crumbs off of their plate, are they worth getting those crumbs from? Go find somebody else who wants to give you a whole plate of food or half a plate of food. Why would you want the crumbs, the leftovers, from a person who has plenty to give? This person, for their own reasons, they would have to have a reading done for them specifically, but I feel they do that for a reason. It's not to hurt you, it's for themselves. It's a protection mechanism or self-defense mechanism, the coping mechanism, however you want to think about it. That's their mode of operation because that's all they know how to do. To be held accountable, to be honest about their own propensity for vulnerability would mean this whole facade would come crashing down, and they would have to present themselves as someone else, which would totally offset their game. Like I said, this person has this kind of strong stoic energy that perhaps other people admire or other people expect certain things from them. Therefore, if they were to be vulnerable, they would be showing other people that's not who they were to begin with. And that's a whole lot. To come out and admit that to a certain extent, who I am is a sham, most people wouldn't do that. So, like I said, do you want crumbs from this person? You're satisfied with that? You have to evaluate that. I can't help you with that, necessarily. If you come to me for private reading, maybe. But anyway, so above you, you've got the Judgment card in reverse. And this is basically what we've been talking about this whole time. Judgment in the upright is showing effective or somehow solidified judgment. Solidified judgment calls. This is this, that is that. Yes, no. There's no maybes. There's no, I'll get back to yous. There's no, I'd have to think about it. None of that. When it's in the upright, it's very, definitive is the word I was looking for. Effective and definitive. When it's like this, it's put off, it's delayed, or it's misguided. So some of you are just totally misguided with this person. As much as I was talking about soulmates here, I told you, you might believe that, and you might feel that, but if they don't feel it, if it's not reciprocated, you've made a certain misjudgment, or the judgment is pending. The final say on how close a connection you share with this person is delayed or somehow off center in a way, because they've got a lot of stuff they have to deal with. This could be a case where you're sitting here, you're watching this tarot reading, and you're like enlightened AF, okay? You are a spiritual person. And I'm not knocking anybody, but this person, just for comparison, could be an atheist. And again, I'm not knocking atheists because I'm like very close to one, but I would never be an atheist. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So this person could be, for comparison's sake, an atheist. And atheists sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes have a hard time believing in anything that is relative to religion, philosophy, or spirituality. They often will rely heavily on science, on facts, on what is quantifiable and can be calculated here in this realm within our senses, you know, or what can be proven through scientific exploration and scientific knowledge. So if that is the case, you're dealing with someone like that, and they don't have to be an atheist, but I was just trying to show a contrast between someone who might be more spiritually inclined to someone who isn't at all. That isn't necessarily a mismatch, but that makes the connection much harder to prove to the person who isn't spiritual, to the person who is so heavily rooted in 3D reality, science-based fact, okay? And if that's true about your situation, Aquarius, you would have a hard time articulating this connection to this person because they wouldn't believe in it. You could go to them, you know, heart on your sleeve. You could go to them showing them all kinds of information that you've looked up about soulmates, maybe even twin flames, stuff like that. And you could, you know, show them numerology, astrology, tarot. You could show them all the things under the sun that kind of prove your point, quote unquote, prove your point. But because it's not science, because it's not under the main certifiable branch of science in the modern world that we understand, they wouldn't believe it. So your judgment then isn't necessarily wrong. It's just misplaced or misguided or all the more difficult to get to this upright position. So I'm not here to say this person is not your soulmate, because a lot of times, I don't think I got into that, no. But a lot of times you'll find soulmates are challenging relationships. I told you at the start, my sister is one. If anybody is an older sister, you'll know my struggle. It is a thing that a younger sister will put you through the ringer just because they're younger, you know? So she and I were both adults, you know, but growing up, it was difficult for us to get along, difficult for us to find a common ground. But now that we're both adults, we're both full-fledged women, it's like we get on like a house on fire. Now, if she's my soulmate from the moment I'm born, and then from the moment that she's born, if we are connected even before then, even before we were conceived and brought down to this earth, right? That's a long time. And in that time, it can't all be good. So that's what I want to underpin for some of you. Just because it's difficult in this accepting of crumbs energy, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is don't be defeated by the possibility that this relationship will continue to have difficulty within it. You know, my sister and I, we get along, but there are some times where I'm like, I want to wring your neck. Like, come on, bro, why are you doing this to me? Or why are we having this conversation? It's not to say that that moment of difficulty gets rid of or negates all the positive steps that we've taken growing into our adulthood. No. But it is to say that this connection is strong and it is lifelong, and she and I complement each other in so many ways. We're so meshed together, but sometimes that meshing can be a little grating. It can be a little abrasive or a little difficult, okay? Now, the judgment being in the reverse, like I said, I don't think most of you, there might be some where you're a little wrong about who this person is, but for the most part, I think most of you, okay, thank you. It's not that you're wrong. I think it's that you're thinking of it in a way that isn't necessarily correct. And I'm going to use all the air quotes I can there, because again, some of you might have the understanding or the belief that soulmates are not meant to hurt each other. Let me tell you, that's not true. I mean, you can believe what you want to believe, and I respect you to believe that, but I'm going to say, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Because I don't think being on this earth, on this plane of existence, there would be any chance for any relationship to be copacetic, perfect all the time. I just don't believe it. So even if it's not great hurting, if this is not even something so detrimental or so traumatizing that it's left you feeling, even though, God, come on, give me the words. Thank you. Even if you're not a soulmate, if you're a friend, a lover, I don't care what you are, you still can hurt a person. You know what I mean? Like, oh, God, what am I trying to say? Being hurt is just part and parcel of the human experience. Pain, hurt, sadness, anger, whatever. Those are all things we all experience, regardless of what type of relationship we have with one another, okay? So a soulmate relationship is no different. That's what I want to say. Let's go ahead and move on. Now, hold on. There is an emergency. Hold on. Okay, Aquarius, I'm sorry about that. I had to handle something. Anyway, so, moving on to your triplet. Gosh. These come out sometimes. It hasn't come out much for this month, but there was like August or something like that where they were coming up a lot. And it seems my guys are making it so that the triplets are telling another story, or they're kind of highlighting an aspect of what's going on in the other cards. For you, I think this is like more talking about what's going on with you. Yeah. So, which one? Yeah, of course. All right, so what's going on with you, I believe, you've got this King of Swords. Oh, come on, in focus. There we go. You've got this King of Swords energy paired with the Fool card. King of Swords, of course, is associated with the air signs, so Gemini, Libra, and yourself, Aquarius, so it could be you. And it could be another person, but again, signs and all that stuff don't really matter. It's really the content or the tone of the energy that I'm picking up here. And there's someone who has been or will be kind of firm and stern with their communication, the way they speak, the way they write, the way that they express themselves or express their ideas. And they're going to be firm, yet sharp, because again, swords are like a biting, slicing kind of energy, right? Quick energy as well. And I think that is good, to be so swift and not quick-tempered, but quick as in like savvy. Like not about the bull, okay? I think that's good. But what I'm getting with this being paired with the Fool card is that it's a little daring. It's a little perhaps haphazard in some spots, or it can be perceived this way. And so there's this feeling of being, like I said, really sharp and sure with your words, with your communication, but somehow being perceived as being foolish, as being a risk, like not a risk taker, but being risky or risque. And in a lot of ways, these energies don't mesh. These energies don't really help each other too much, because the King of Swords can be kind of grounded, can be kind of stuck, not in his ways, but fixed on a certain idea, a certain way of expressing that idea. And the Fool card is more an energy about being open and willing to try something new. So that's not really hitting it. That's not really working together, okay? The other combination could be that this sharp, very pointed, very accurate or precise, almost stabbing or biting way of communication could be seen as being foolish. So some of you might have that perception of yourselves. Like maybe you are putting your foot down with this person over here, this King of Wands, a little bit. Maybe you're trying to like go toe to toe with him. maybe give him a dose of his own medicine with as far as like communication. So they're hitting you up and being like, hey, can we talk? And you're like, I'll see. Or, well, you know, you always come around every payday wanting to talk, so I don't know. I'm getting, you know, you could be like calling them out on their bull, because I said there's this aspect of not BSing around with the King of Swords, and you might be doing that. But you or someone else might view that approach as being foolish, because Aquarius, you are an air sign, and air signs pride themselves on being good at communication, even if that communication can get them into trouble. So you might be viewing yourself as, yeah, I'm smart, I've got a way with words. Maybe you're like writing the message on your phone and you're like, you know, trying to use the best words. Like, you want to use the most accurate word choice possible so that you can't be misunderstood. And in a lot of air signs' efforts to be efficient with communication, they can make some missteps. They can put their foot in their mouths. You know what I mean? So there's this feeling that you carry, or someone else is projecting onto you, or they're perceiving it from you as like, you're doing that. You're kind of making an ass out of yourself, or you're kind of blowing a situation out of proportion, or something like that. And you might be struggling to find a balance between articulating your point of view but not coming off as condescending, not coming off as aggressive, because the King of Swords, like I said, is not about the bull. He's also not afraid to... He's not going back down. He's not a passive king. He is an assertive king, okay? And that, from your perspective, you feel could cost you. So you might not actually be doing it. You might be evaluating whether or not to do that. Or, like I said, someone is seeing you do that and they're like, oh my God, Aquarius, like, don't say that way. Don't say that at all. You know, and you're just like, I'm going to do it anyway, you know? So it can go different ways for you guys. But like I said, the combination together is just a little off for me. I like the King of Swords because I think he counteracts this very wistful energy that you have in the Six of Cups. And I think this is more aligned to your true self, which is, you know, someone who can articulate themselves, has good sound evaluation, like not tries their best, but often doesn't allow their emotions to rule them and you know, because sometimes your emotions can be misleading, you know. And for me, Aquarius, you're usually head first, heart second. And not to say that being heart first is bad, because I value heart first as well, but I think this energy is so strongly heart first, and it's so strongly rooted in your vulnerabilities and your emotions, that this guy is here to counteract that. But like I said, sitting next to the Fool card, he's being challenged in a way that makes his job all the more harder to accomplish, okay? And that's why I said some of you might not even be doing it, because you've got the Nine of Swords right beneath it. So whether you're acting that way or not, or acting on your inclination to speak your truth, or speak and articulate what you need to articulate, whether or not you're doing it, I think most of you have this kind of sitting in your back pocket, or it's like a cloud over your head. You're worried about it. Whether you sent the message or not, whether you hit the send button or not, you're just like, if I say this, what's going to happen? Oh, I said it now what's going to happen? You're very concerned about the next step or the outcome and the reaction from this other person, from other people, whatever. There's a lot, because there's 9 swords above this person's bed tormenting them. So there's a lot of different angles from which you might be tormenting yourself, or beating yourself up, or overthinking. This is also a card of overthinking and feeling not trapped, but feeling inundated and invaded with thoughts. So that could be it. You know, this could be, maybe you're not even saying a word to this person, but you're going, like, you're imagining the conversation. And no matter if you're nice, if you're aggressive, if you're sympathetic, if you're empathetic, if you are calling them out, no matter how you slice it in your mind, all of the possibilities are petrifying to you, or stressful and anxiety ridden. And so some of you aren't sleeping well, some of you are, your thoughts are consumed, your subconscious thoughts are consumed with this situation, with this person, with your relationship with them, and there's this feeling of not being able to get out. Nine of Swords is also like that, because it is also talking about dreamscapes. And so what is happening in your conscious that you can, like, bat away, like the thought of this person might pop up in the day and you're like, and you swat it away. But then at night you go to bed and there they are. So there's this idea of being consumed by this person, by this relationship, by this focus on how and when you will communicate with them, and it's just like a whole lot. And like I said, these three cards I feel are kind of working behind the scenes of the Six of Cups. Because like I said, I feel your Six of Cups, you feel pretty dreamy about this. You feel pretty, like, enthusiastic or optimistic about this whole thing. But there is a nagging part of the Six of Cups that's you're kind of minimizing or trying to mute. And this would be that part that you're trying to mute. Outcome for November 2018, you have the Queen of Swords. Well, lots of people here. And I think the lots of people here might be, this situation can involve lots of people. So going back to the whole, this could be a family situation. This could be, an estranged parent, or if you're the parent and your child is the one who's a mess or whatever, it could be, however it goes for you. So there could be a lot of people here, but the energy is pretty much central on you and one other person. So it could be there's a lot of people in the peripheral. There can be a lot of people who in some way would be affected by your relationship or by this person's return into your life. So that's where all these people come from, because you've got 4 people, right? If you want to count the Fool, maybe he's another person. So you've got considerable amount of people who might be affected by whatever happens, but centrally, this is about you and that other person, okay? So, as your outcome, the Queen of Swords, very similar to the King of Swords, but the difference that I'm being drawn to is he's kind of stationary. He's kind of going to defend his territory. He's just going to stand his ground. The Queen of Swords is very much I'll go out there and get it. Or I'll go out there and I'll make a stand. Or I will go and take the fight to the other person. So there's a little bit more action, which is very different because traditionally we interpret the queens as being receptive energy, so they remain stationary, and the kings are a little bit more action-oriented. I feel the opposite is true with the King and Queen of Swords right now. The king is sitting there going, okay, if they come to my door, if they come to me, I'll be ready. And the queen is like, I'm ready, I'm going out. And, she's much more ready to take the fight to the other side, or take the fight to whomever. I think she's also... She's like, I feel like a little more like bloodthirsty, where she's more, she's more tired than the King of Swords. She's more, this is like, okay, thank you, here we go. This is the part of you, Aquarius, and if not you, the other person, or someone thereabouts in your realm, who's just tired of whatever games, whatever manipulations, whatever energy or person is there sucking the life out of someone else. Like, this could be a friend of yours. This could be your brother, your sister, your cousin, whoever, who sees what's going on with you and this other person, and they step in and it's like, enough is enough is enough is enough. Wake the f*** up, Aquarius. and they might come in and give you some tough love. So somebody is feeling a little bit more feisty with their truth bearing. They're feeling a little bit more feisty and willing to be combative with their language and their communication. And it's from a place of being fed up. It's from a place of feeling like, I can't hear about this one more day. I can't see you act like this for another day, Aquarius. We're going to go together and we're going to go confront this person. So this could be like your ride or die best friend or your ride or die family member who is willing to go with you when you go talk to this standoffish King of Wands, okay? Or this is, like I said, it could be an aspect of you that comes out later in the month. Either way, tread lightly, because with these two being out, like, there can be a lot of damage done. And it's not to say that you shouldn't utilize their energy at all. You just want to tread carefully. Be careful is what I'm feeling. Be careful. Oh, and I just noticed, okay. So in your overall, you have the counterpart to the King of Wands with the Queen of Wands. That's interesting. That's interesting. So this is the first time that I'm saying this in a reading, I think. There could be an issue, not an issue, but there could be a certain difference in the genders in this situation. The two male cards, and I shouldn't say male because it doesn't have to be necessarily male, but the two male or masculine cards coming in the main spread can indicate a certain presence or emphasis on maleness or masculinity. And then the two female cards or feminine cards coming in your outcome in your overall could indicate sort of like a guiding presence or a guiding emphasis or perspective. So I don't know what you believe, but if we go on, these patriarchal and sort of dated, but still to me certainly relevant aspects or considerations in femininity and masculinity. Masculinity is perceived to be very strong and virile and aggressive, and femininity is usually conceptualized as being softer, more sympathetic, more compassionate. So there might be this divergence in some of the perspectives or approaches to this situation. Someone or some people might be really aggressive and really dominant and really fierce and forceful, and other people might be a little bit softer, a little calmer, things like that. There might be a difference there. And again, I don't usually talk about that. I don't usually speak about it in those ways, but because they came like that and they're counterparts to each other, and there's, I hope you get what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of, is that the word? Bisectional? Is what I'm feeling. Not bisexual, but bisectional. Like, now they're showing me like a Venn diagram. So again, I feel there might be a message for someone where we need to meld and marry together the masculine elements with the feminine elements. Mesh or marry those two energies together. All right. Now, Queen of Wands in your overall. Similar difference where the King of Wands is facing away and he's not about this life. I feel that the Queen of Wands is on her own as well, but she's a lot more involved or a lot more willing to be involved. Okay. She is a woman of her own making. Does not have to be a woman, but I'm just describing the energy or the characteristics of this card. It could be a man. This person is, again, self-made to a certain extent, stands on their own 2 feet, has their own sustainability going for them, but when they speak or they act, it is from a place of compassion, even if it's tough love, even if it's, saying the hard truths that no one wants to hear. So this could be like an older, wiser member of your family or older, wiser friend, or just an older, wiser perspective that you could take up for yourself and kind of, embrace and utilize for yourself. The Queen of Wands would be acting in the... Didn't I say down here that the King of Wands, he acts in a way to not protect, but to show his own autonomy, his own, like, I am an individual. I am who I am, and this is, you know, just I. A lot of I here. The Queen of Wands would make we statements. We are this. Like, still just as strong, still just as definitive and affirmed, but we are this. We will do this. We have this. Da-da-da-da-da. So there's more of an inclusive feeling with her strength, with her ability to be an independent person. She also would embrace and sort of lift up those around her. I feel this person, this energy is slightly external to you. So that to me, again, is like possibly like an older family member, an older friend, maybe an advisor, maybe your best friend, not necessarily older, but somebody who's coming from a place of insight, having a different perspective that might be giving you certain facts or certain ways of thinking about your situation that are truthful and helpful, but maybe not the easiest to deal with. Not the easiest pill to swallow, whatever she's got to offer you, okay? All right, Aquarius, that is your reading for November. I hope you found something here that was useful to you. If you did, cool. Tell me about it in the comments below. I would love to hear about it, how this resonated with you. Drop a comment down below. You can also hit the like button if you like what you saw. I appreciate that. Of course, share the video if you think other people could benefit from what was shown today. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. That would be amazing. And I will be back quickly. I shouldn't say quickly. Hopefully, I'll be back pretty soon to do the December general readings, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. Bye.